came up with a recipe for a 1 loaf of rye bread. We love rye bread. And so this is the recipe I came up with. I experimented for a while. And this makes 1 loaf. And it's nice and a high loaf, so it slices up real good. So I'm going to follow this recipe today. I'm actually going to measure. And we'll do this right now. And we'll have a nice loaf of rye bread by the end of the day. Okay, that was a spam call. I hate those spam calls. Anyway, I'm going to start out with 1 cup of warm water and 1 heaping teaspoon of yeast. And I'm going to dissolve it. So, I'm going to get some warm water, 1 cup of warm water, and it will be warm to the touch, kind of like bath water. 1 teaspoon of yeast in my warm bath water. Well, not bath water, but temperature of bath water. Dissolve it up. And I'm going to add my 1 tablespoon of caraway seeds. Caraway seeds. I buy them in a big bulk and put them in these wonderful containers. When you buy nuts at the store, you save these containers. They're wonderful for everything. Okay, got that. 1 tablespoon of that. 1 tablespoon of molasses. This is the sugar that the yeast likes to feast on. Come on now, come on, come on, come on. Yes, it's slow as molasses. Because it is molasses. Let me see if I can, there we push it, squeeze it out there. There we go. Okay, 1 tablespoon of molasses. And, ooh, doesn't that look lovely? So now we've got caraway seed, molasses, and apple cider vinegar. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Or a little more, whichever comes off the thing. Okay. Get all that nice off there. Good. 1 spoon done. All right. Stir it up. Put my containers back on here. That's done. That's done. That's done. Now I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of, this is caraway seed powder. Now I buy this online by the pound. This is caraway seed powder, delicious. I mean, it's great flavoring. Creates great flavoring to the bread. So along with the caraway seeds, we got caraway seed powder. I don't know if you can get that in the regular grocery store. I don't think so. I don't think so. And the next thing we get is stone ground dark rye flour. Red rye flour. I want 1/2 cup of rye flour. Okay, I got 2 more bags of this. Right down to the bottom of the barrel here. There we go. There's my 2 cups. I mean, 1/2 cup. There's 1/2 cup rye flour. Alrighty. Mix this up. And to this I add 2 cups of bread flour. Okay, it looks pretty good. Yep. This is my bread flour. I keep it on a porch in the winter because it's like 10 degrees out there, and it keeps it fresh. So I have to keep it in here and gotta make it come up to room temperature before I use it. So it should be warm by now. It's been in here for a couple hours. So I do 2 cups of bread flour. 2 cups of bread flour. That's all the ingredients you use now. That's it. That's it. Easy peasy. Alrighty. Yep. Now I'm going to scrape this off of here. Then I'll use some of the flour, some extra flour here to roll it out and to knead it. Okay. Alright. There we go. And put some flour on here. And scrape this out and dump it onto here. I can smell the molasses. Okay. And put a little more flour on it and just knead it and play with it. Whoops. We had some of this bread yesterday with homemade sauerkraut and smoked turkey meat from the deli and horseradish and mustard on the toasted rye. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely fantastic. That homemade horseradish, the homemade sauerkraut is amazing. I made homemade sauerkraut, oh gosh, through 2 months ago. It's been in the refrigerator and it's in a huge gallon jug, and I take it out every time we want some great probiotics. Keeps you really healthy. So I'm going to probably make some more as we get lower, but that sauerkraut will last forever. Of course it's rotten, all of this is rotten cabbage. Just a little bit more flour. And just keep playing with it, just so it doesn't stick. But you don't want it too tight. You don't want it too floury. No, that's about it. See, it's a nice soft ball. See, soft ball. Okay, take my soft ball. The more you knead it, the finer the texture of the bread is. Okay, it's gonna be 1 loaf of bread. I'll put it in my bowl. I'm gonna put a cover on it, and I'll put it in a warm place. I have a bread proofing on my oven, so I'm gonna put bread proofing on my oven. Bread proofing, automatic, and that keeps it at about, I think, 80 degrees, which is perfect temperature. So I'm gonna go put this in the and let it rise for 1 hour. It's been an hour since I put the bread in there. I have a pan. I put a piece of parchment paper in the pan, bottom of the pan, and I'm going to make my ball. I'm going to stick it in there, cover that, stick it back in the warmer for another half hour and see what happens. So, put a little bit of flour here, take the ball out. Push it down a little bit. Okay, just a little bit so it doesn't stick on the other side. Okay, now, flatten it out now. We put this pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, push down, pull up, push down, pull up, push down. Now we have a nice ball. Now nice and tight across the top so that it will not spread out. Now from this, I'll stick this in my pan right like that. I'm going to stick it back in the warming place for a half hour. That's it. Okay, the buzzer has buzzed from my warming. It's been 30 minutes. And here is the recipe. I forgot to put on the original recipe that you got to let it rise for 30 minutes before you bake it. So now we're at this stage here. Cover and let rise for 30 minutes. Okay, it's done that now. Now I got to preheat the oven at 400 degrees. So I'll take the bread out now, the dough, and then preheat the oven at 400. So there's the recipe there. I put the 30 minutes in after. You just can't stick it in the oven. All right. Forgot that step. All right. So there's my risen bread. Okay. So I'm going to let it sit here and preheat the oven now to 400 degrees. Put on quick preheat. Good old 20-year-old stove. Excellent. Gen Air. Excellent. Don't want to get a new one because that one's perfectly fine. So, as soon as it gets to 400, I'll stick it in just like that and then bake it for 30 minutes at 400.